Hello and welcome back. So today, I think what we're going to do is work a little bit on something I've never really tried before. I'm not entirely certain how it works. It's called magically infused crops or infused crops, something like that, from Atomic Tinker, and it basically ends up being gem or seeds that you infuse with elemental energy, and then you can kind of grow them. And apparently they combine and get all sorts of weird things. But so far, I did create a couple of them, I want to say about 12 hours ago, and I've let them grow. The one thing I did notice about them is they don't seem to allow the golems to work properly with them. Like a golem will harvest them, but it won't actually like replant them, which is a bit of a pain. So the reason I made a few of them ahead of time is everything I've read about them says that they are just insanely slow to grow, and it really does look that way. It looks like they kind of make ender pearls look fast for the ender lilies. So I planted a few of them, let them go. Right now I think I have an air, 2 orders, an ignis, and a peridito. Just because I originally created the ignis and the air, because I want to recombine them into, I want to get them crossbred into a lux. Because assuming everything on the internet is right and the internet is never wrong, that type of thing, we should be able to get like glowstone and things like that out of a lux plant when we harvest it, which would be really useful. Where did I put that thing? There it is. So that's kind of what I'm after right now. I know when I harvested the peridito, I think it was, I got some sand when I just did that, or I went and checked the input box to see what the golem was doing. So, I mean, it seems to be working. I'm just hoping that what they say is true because... I missed. Let's try that again. Because it would be kind of neat to have an easy source of those materials. Because one of them, I think it was... You could get out of it was Nitor and Energized Nitor. It's like, well, if I don't have to make those, that'd be even better. So, kind of give that a shot. And I planted a couple of them together to see if they would crossbreed. So far, nothing. So, we'll see. And then as for what I'm doing right now, I am extending the magical biome along the wall of the village right now. So it should be... So far while doing this, I've only destroyed 2 nodes. Both of which, because this axe is insanely fast and tends to punch right through things before you realize you're aiming at the wrong block. But overall, it's pretty simple. I'm just bouncing back and forth with a teleposer. But I think what I'm going to do is I am going to get the materials, because it requires 32 messes and 32 meadow to create one of these things, as well as 4 the elemental shards and a seed. So I'm going to get that materials together, and then we'll make one of those seeds so you can see the infusion process and then what it looks like when you plant it, and we'll kind of go from there, and I'll show you just the kind of basic farm I set up just to see what happens, and we'll go over the buffer setup and see if we can get that explained. So I will get that done and I'll be back. Alright, welcome back. Now for you this is going to be the first time. For me this is going to be the 3rd or the 4th time I've tried this. Apparently my recording software decided today's the day to be a little weird, so it keeps dying on me. What we're gonna try here is we are going to make, it is called an infused crop. And overall the infusion is rather simple, just 4 of the elemental crystals of the type you want, and a seed in the middle, then 32 meadow and 32 messes. So I've got those arranged around the edge. I've actually got 64 of each of them and split up between 4 jars total. So what we're going to do here is we put our seeds in the middle. Now I have extras because this is a moderate instability, and apparently I don't have enough skulls down there yet to counteract that. So it does occasionally flake out and pop things off and create flux and all sorts of fun stuff. So we kind of need to watch the gems here and make sure these crystals don't pop off on us. So we'll kind of see how it's doing here. I'm creating an air one this time. The last one I created I think was an ignis. The idea is I created several to kind of get an idea of how long it would take them to grow, because from what I've been reading, they do not respond to growth tick increasers. So I've got a green grove underneath the set I planted right now, has no effect whatsoever on them that I can see. Now maybe it does and it's just a really slow effect, I'm not positive there, but I know a watering can doesn't do anything to it, bone meal it just ignores. So that's more than likely what's going on there. I mean, like I said, it's entirely possible. It's just helping it on such an insignificant scale that I can't see it. But, oh, no, that one goes there. That one goes there. And seed. Okay, so now we come over here, and I'll show you what I've got going on. I basically just got a vacuum hopper with a one of the harvester golems, which, yeah, that little guy. So you look at it here, you can see that it sits on its own different type of soil. In order to plant them, you have to till the spot. So basically just till it, which is one thing the mana shovel can do for us. And you just plant it. When you plant it, it turns into this. And you can see in the top there it says Dirt Ordo 1, or if I look at it, it shows the Ordo symbol in 1. I've got an air plant there, I've got an Ordo plant there. Now, as they grow, they start to slowly leave behind, with every planting and harvesting, they leave behind some of their element. So the original reason I started off with Ignis and air is because eventually what I want to do is I'm going to swap them. I'm going to put the air on top of the Ignis dirt and the Ignis on top of the air dirt, see if I can get some lux. Because from everything I've been seeing online, now the information's a little old, but they're saying that when you harvest a lux plant, there's a chance you'll get like Nitor, glowstone, the energetic Nitors, something neat basically and useful. Because I'm using an awful lot of Nitor in my, as you can see, I got lamps all over the place here. But so this Ordo plant was there earlier and it's gone now, so he's harvested it. One thing he does not appear to do is replant these. So if we click on, can we click on him? Maybe? No? I just noticed that. That's probably why he doesn't have the Order upgrade. We'll have to fix that. So when it planted though, or popped him off, you can see the Ordo gave glass and the Peridito gave sand. So when you harvest them, it's kind of like a fruit. They have a chance of dropping something different, which is kind of neat. I mean, that's what I'm going for here, is try and find something different. So a different way of getting to some of our materials. So let's see, that's Ordo. He's standing on top of the Peridito spot. Let's bonk, and he should have, no, not that. There he is. Yeah, that would be why. Okay, I was wondering. I thought it was kind of strange that he wasn't replanting these things. Now, the reason I did plant them so close together is apparently it's saying there's a small chance that they can absorb traits from the plants around them. Like apparently fire makes it easier, or Ignis makes it easier for them to absorb traits. I wanted to say Order maybe increase the drop rate. Maybe Chaos was the one that gave more seeds. I can't remember, but apparently it's difficult to get them to cross like that. And the idea being that, it'd be neat if I could get like a Lux plant that had a high drop rate on it. So every time I harvested it, I got another seed, or I got more of an item. So this is just kind of an experiment to see what happens. And I'm going to hold on to this one. Now, occasionally when you harvest them, like you see here, I got glass and sand. You can also get these imbued grains. They come out as imbued from the element they came from. They can be made into potions of various types. So you can see right here, this one gives us an air potion, and I don't remember if it actually tells us what they do. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, so if someone's a barrier, I'm kind of curious about that one. Lights them on fire, apparently. Potion chills surround. So this must immediately turn lava to obsidian. That's kind of neat. So I've just been kind of saving them because I really don't have a use for them right now. But let's go make us an Order shard, because I think that would significantly increase my rates here if that little guy was replanting them. I can't believe this guy didn't have one. I thought for sure he did, but I guess not. Alright, so we need one Order shard, and yeah, these little gold coins act as nuggets. Now, one thing I have been doing is, you may have saw it when I was spinning the camera around over there, is I do have some of the buffers set up over there. The problem I'm having with them right now is it takes a lot of power to get those things set up, like a lot of the magic. And that's what I'm running low on right now. Figures. Works for everything else. They're a nice little source of lux, or lucrum. Let's put those back. Put you where you go. Alright, let's go have a conversation with the system upstairs. Get ourselves some gold nuggets. I summoned a meteor using an iron block, and it came down, I want to say maybe, it had a tiny little fraction of stone in it. Everything else was ore. So, I mean, all that lead, all that copper, I tripled the amount of iron blocks we have. We didn't have any bars before. I mean, our metal supply has gone up significantly, and you can see here, I've still got some gold and some lead left in there because I left this thing. I left it turned on so it was only turning iron into blocks for the time being. But let's see, we need 8. So let's just do that real quick. And so we don't have to do this again in the future. Oop, that's iron. How did I do that? No. There we go. So we'll just take a few of them down there with us. I had some down there, but as we started running out of gold, they started scrounging from all over the place. But I did pull the gather golem that I'm carrying right now is the one that was standing down in my goldberry bushes. So eventually I will have to put something back as far as that system goes, but I may just rely on the meteors from now on. There we go. Okay, let's go plant him again, because if this works, I mean, I've got this area is chunk loaded as part of the altar there, and I slapped a little spot loader over here to keep this section of the piping loaded. I'll go over that in a minute so we see how it's done, but I want to get him back in his spot here. There we go. That should help us out quite a bit. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually plant this one. We'll just plant him right next to the fires and see what happens. I mean, you can kind of see here, I mean, that one's been planted for a while and it's still 0. This one's been planted for about the same time and it's 29. This one got harvested earlier and it's back up to 86. So I saw something, I wanted to say it was like every 15,000 ticks you had one chance of a growth tick, or it almost had that feel from the description like it was similar to the ender lilies, like it was a very rare chance to be allowed to have a chance to grow. So I don't know, I've got the ritual down there running, a little green grove down there, so it's just ticking away. I don't think it's actually doing anything. Then again, I upped the amount of sacrifice runes on that thing in there, so it doesn't really make much of a difference. Okay, so this thing now, I've seen this design all over the place, and whoever came up with it originally was a genius, but I have no idea who that is. So the basics of this process here is this is a one-way line. You can see the red pip on those things right there. That, if you hold shift and you right click there, it can change it between a blue, a red, and nothing. The red, if I'm understanding this correctly, means that this is the direction it will output. It wants everything to flow that way. So what it does is it comes in here, and if there's nothing else trying to take it, it just continues pushing it down the line. So what I did here is I just kept tossing wooden hose in here, and then I tossed some pumpkins and some wheat on the very end, and as it was going, it just filled these jars up as it could. But if it was doing something other than the meadow, like say arbor from those things, it would skip all those jars because it didn't have anything to put in them, and it would put it here. Otherwise it would continue on. So the idea here is that for every type of essentia the system can have, we have one of these slices here. Now this is still incomplete because up here is supposed to be one of those jars, and I think we may take a look at that today. I don't know if we'll make one of these things because they're a little harder to make as far as instability and things like that. Plus we don't even have void metal yet, so we're gonna have to look at making that. But it makes one, and these things hold 256. The idea here is that once this jar fills up, you can add, or if you wanted to, you could just, oopsie. Come on. There. You could just turn the little handle here and it wouldn't go into the jar anymore. Instead, it would go up here into that big tank. And then, so I wanted to do a ritual, or infusion, so I'd pop this off, I'd run over and I'd go do it, and I'd come back with an empty jar or not a full jar, and it should pull from the reservoir up here to refill this jar. So even though I've only got one jar visible at any given time, I've got 256 in reserve in addition to that 64. So it gives you a significant stockpile of everything here. But these buffers are the things that I've been kind of tripping on lately here. Let's take a look here. So they are under alchemy and under the centrifuge. So, I mean, the recipe itself is rather simple. The problem is it takes valves, it takes 2 pipes, and it takes a restricted essentia tube along with the files, which isn't that big a deal. But this tube, it takes 16 terra and 5 aqua, a pipe and stone to give you the restricted. This one, 5 and 5, not that big a deal. It's fairly low, but the ordo is the one I've been having trouble with. A pipe and a lever to give you the valve. So usually what will happen is I'll try to make a batch of the faucets, and then I'll come back and I'll make a batch of the restricted tubes, and then I'll make a batch of the buffers, and I'll come in here and set them up. I still haven't been able to decide on the pattern. The reason it starts right here is because my hope in the future, in the Eldritch tab somewhere, at least I think it's Eldritch, there is a new one of these alchemical furnaces. It's a big one. It's a multi-block structure. I want that sitting right here. So when you walk into the room, it's the first thing you see. And it has pipe slots around all the bottoms in the middle, or around the bottom in the middle on every side. So this is where the entrance to the system will be. So that's where I want it to start now. That way I don't have to repipe everything later. Because those big jars, if you move them, there's a chance they explode, which is bad. So right now, just trying to figure out how... Right now, I think when I counted, there were 56 different types, but I need to go back through NEI again and make sure that I counted correctly. Because I'm just trying to figure out how to wrap them around this room, because when you get to the end of this, you have to do something with whatever comes out the end of this system. So it has to go somewhere. Because if it doesn't, it will fill this buffer, which will fill this buffer, and it'll just back the whole system up, and everything will just kind of clog up. So normally what we would do on the end here is we put a couple of these crystallizers. Because what those will do is those will take whatever's left and they'll crystallize it into those little pellets, and we can just store them in a file cabinet or, you know, in barrels, however we want to do it for later. I mean, there are some of them I'd probably set up a line of barrels here for and just do void barrels, and, you know, you don't need a ton of some of these elements, but it never hurts to have a supply that you can pitch back into the system when you need them later on. So that's kind of what we're doing there. And once I figure out how I'm going to wrap this around the room, because I kind of want it to end up somewhere around here, because then what I'll do is I'll have the crystallizers and like an air Vs node or something here. I mean, actually, I think maybe it's Terra for that thing, so it can have its own fuel. Let's see. Yeah, and then this thing needs a fire node or an Ignis node, whatever. So that'll have to go somewhere in here as well. So there's a little bit of... how come I heard that one? One of the other things I did was to deal with the Concussion Creepers. I lowered the floor in here. Alright, so there's some loose. So you can see there's none up here, and there's none up in the room, but there are definitely some in here. There they are. So, and you. Alright. I lowered this floor down significantly. I warded almost the entire floor with the exception of a little bit over there, and I kept running out of power. And then I encased our ritual, and I warded the entire bottom. I did that because I came in the other day, came in yesterday I think, and that ritual stone was gone, and the ritual was off, and there were just a ton of critters piled up in here, and it was a mess. So I need to get that thing somewhere where it can actually block out the explosions as well. But so I encased this thing to give it a little bit of protection, and kind of went from there. Wrong way. And I haven't done anything with this room yet, aside from give this thing a recipe for the wooden hose. So that's kind of where it sits right now. But I think, you know, let's go. We have not... eventually we should probably make some of those. We've not done this yet. I know I have a couple void seeds. How do you get void seeds? So Alienus, Tenebrae, and Vacuous. So that's not that big a deal. I know we got a couple of them. I can make more of them off camera later. Metallum, we definitely have. I think I got 2 jars of that stuff. So let's go take a look. Let's make ourselves some void steel. This is one of those times when this machine shines, because I can just toss that in there and just go. I got these out of a chest, I think, in one of the dungeons we were running through. So take that out of there. And you. And there we go. 2 void steel. So now what we need to do, because this is the first time we've ever encountered this stuff, is scan it. Okay. I don't see anything about new research. Let's look anyways. No, nothing new. I do want to make the Sanity Checker. I just Once again, haven't done it yet. I'm kind of curious to see what it'll do. So we've got our void metal. We've got this thing. It's a high, but I'm betting we could do it. Problem is I don't want to get any of these into that system until I'm ready to fill them, because like I said, you don't want to move them. So let's see. Actually, I think we'll store this. This goes here. Here. Put this stuff away. I'm gonna go see if I can find where Newt put the blood armor forge. Maybe we'll make some of that. Let me go see if I can find that. I'll get together the chunks necessary, and maybe we'll make ourselves some blood armor. So I will be back. Alright, it's time to make some of these empty sockets. So what we're going to do here, we need 4 of the weak blood shards, some glass, and some diamonds. Assuming I did my math right, 24 of them should be enough. And what we're going to do here is put those back. And now we need to fill each one of these with life essence. So we toss it in there. As you can see, it takes, oh geez, 30,000. That's going to be here for a while. Okay, so I'm going to fill all of these. And in a couple days, I will apparently be back. We'll see. Once I get it done, I'll be back and we'll move on from there. Alright, let's make some pieces of blood armor here. Now, I don't have enough to do everything yet because 30,000 takes a while to build up, even with all these sacrifice or self-sacrifice runes. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start off with, I think, the helmet. So what we do is around this soul forge, we build the same pattern that we would build in the crafting grid, with this thing kind of stuck in the slot here. So you can see I got my helmet pattern. Now with the helmet pattern though, what I want to do is I want to add upgrades into this thing. So the first thing we're going to do is add a blood shard. That allows me to add an upgrade. I'm going to put a divination sigil into it, so each one of these boxes can hold one thing that I'm doing. So blood shards in that one, weak blood shard, divination sigil. Now I don't want to have to pay any power to use these things, so I'm going to put a master's blood orb. Now we need to activate it. So let's see if this works. It did. So now, let's see, bound, master blood orb, protection. Okay, so now if we do this, now if you look on the left side of my screen, you'll see that I have my my blood meter bar there all the time. Now I can't see my nodes anymore, so I'm going to have to make another set of goggles and combine them with this one. So that'll be next. But once I get the full suit on, it'll start applying things. But now you'll also notice that divination sigil, aside from giving us the ability to see our network power, it also gave us night vision. So that should hopefully help out. I'm hoping that'll help at night, because I'm nearing the point where I'm going to do that shift. I know I've been saying that for a while, but I need to get myself a rapier built, and then I need to figure out where I'm going to set the ritual up, and then we'll do that. But I'm thinking in the next few episodes that's definitely going to get done, because I'm close enough to the point where I've got strong enough armor I'm willing to, go stand over lava to do it and that type of thing. So, but let me get the rest of these frames filled up, and I will be back when we can create them all. Night vision is fun. I didn't even realize it was dark out. All of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, those are stars. I don't think I can hit him from here. So I got this one set up kind of. I got an orb in there. I got a shard in there. Now I'm going to put the void sigil in here. According to the wiki, the void sigil gives you either resistance or immunity to void damage. I wanted to say the Ender Dragon was void damage, but I'm not entirely sure. So, for all I know, it could be really useful or it could just be complete junk. I'm not entirely sure. So there's that one. Now we need the suit of armor, the chest. So that's going to be like this. An orb, a blood shard, and I'll just put this in there. The green grove makes it so as you walk around it can grow plants around you. So we'll just do that. And that one's bound. And our last one. Now the last one, I don't have anything to put in it. I mean, I didn't really see anything that jumped out that I had that'd be useful. I mean, I guess I could put an air sigil in it for fall damage reduction. Maybe I'll do that real quick. Let's just see here. So, Slate Feathers. I don't want to use up the one I've got on me, since I still use it occasionally. Alright, so we need a guest here. No feathers. Luckily, we have plenty of feathers down here from all those chicken-riding zombie baby things. So we'll drop down here. Now, I think once I finish this suit of armor, we're probably going to be finished for the episode, because I think we're running close to time, if not already a little over, because I've been kind of jabbering on a little bit today. So let's do this. Alright. So let's get back up there. Kind of gives it a yellow look. That's interesting. The only drawback to night vision is you'll forget you forget what time of day it is. So it's not uncommon for me to be wandering around outside. Like on the last server, I'd be wandering around and all of a sudden something starts chewing on my face because I forget that it's nighttime, and I start getting attacked by the things that were coming out. All right, so we got our boots. So boots get an orb, a gem. Make sure, I don't think it needs to be bound to me, but just in case. And smack. Now we do this. Put these on. Let's put this back where it's supposed to be. And that is what the suit of armor looks like. I'm not really sure about the little Wolverine claws. They look kind of weird to me. They don't seem to fit the overall feel of the armor. It's got that he was looking through a drawer somewhere and said, "Ooh, these are neat," and slapped them on his armor. So I don't know about those, but so let's see. So now we've got that on there. So in theory, if I walk by plants, they should grow a little faster. I'm sure eventually that'll get annoying, but you know, and it doesn't, because I put the Master Blood Orb in them. They don't use any energy from my network for the abilities they've got in them, which is, you know, a nice little bonus. Let's put this away and that away. Alright, so what I'm going to do between episodes here is I'm going to let those plants run for a while. I'm going to get a set of goggles and combine them into this armor. That way I can see the nodes again, because it's kind of weird not being able to see them. And I think next time I'm going to try to get this done in between episodes, but this may be something I continue working on for a while. Same as these little buggers, since those grew really fast. Looks like he's already harvested an air. So I'm going to kind of let these run. Eventually I'll move them, and once I get to a point, I am going to swap the Lux and the Airs, the Ignis and the Airs, to see if I can get Lux, and just kind of see what happens. I may make some more of them, but I'm going to see if I can make a rapier between episodes, so that may take precedence over some of the other things, because I do want to get the vampire thing going. Been kind of dragging my feet on it for a while as we find all sorts of other things to do. So that'll be kind of a priority in the next few episodes. But thank you for watching, and hopefully you enjoyed the episode.